Look, have you ever noticed how some men walk into a room and women just notice them? They're not the loudest. They're not the most muscular. They're not even the best looking, but something about them is magnetic. Something pulls attention in their direction without them saying a single word. And then there's another type of man. A man who tries. A man who buys the right clothes, says the right things, texts back within seconds, drops everything for someone. A man who does everything society told him was romantic. And women, they lose interest. Slowly, then all at once. You've seen this happen, maybe you've lived it. And the question that burns in your mind is, why? What is he doing that I'm not? The answer is not confidence, not money, not looks. The answer is psychology, specific, documented, scientifically proven psychological principles that operate silently beneath the surface of every interaction you've ever had. Today, I'm going to give you 5 of them. Not opinions, not dating advice from the internet. Actual psychological laws that govern attraction, whether anyone admits it or not. Stay with me until the end. Because the 5th one will completely change how you see every relationship you've ever had. Here's what nobody tells you about attraction. It is not a choice. Not consciously. When a woman feels drawn to a man, she is not making a rational decision. She is responding to signals. Deep biological, psychological signals that trigger automatic emotional responses. Think about it. You don't decide to feel hungry. You don't decide to feel cold. Your body reads signals from the environment and responds. Attraction works the same way. This means one thing: you can learn to send the right signals, not manipulation, not tricks, psychology. Understanding how the human mind works, and specifically understanding female psychology, gives you the ability to naturally become the kind of man that women are drawn to. I've studied this for years. I've read the research. I've watched the patterns. And what I've found is that most men are not unattractive. They're just sending the wrong signals. So let's correct that. Starting with the first secret. The first idea is what psychologists call the scarcity principle. And it explains more about attraction than almost any other concept. Here's the truth. Human beings assign value to things based on availability. The rarer something is, the more we want it. The more available it is, the less we value it. This is not opinion. This is economics. This is psychology. This is human nature. Think about it. Diamonds are valuable. Why? Are they actually more useful than rocks? No. They are valuable because they are rare. Because getting one requires something. Because not everyone can have one. Now apply that same principle to yourself. When you are always available, always texting back instantly, always free on weekends, always dropping your plans for someone, what signal are you sending? You are telling her, I have nothing better to do. My time is not valuable. I will always be here no matter what. And unconsciously she thinks, if he's always available, maybe he's not in demand. Maybe there's a reason for that. Now flip it. When you have a life, a purpose, goals, commitments, passions, your availability naturally becomes limited. You reply when you can, not the second a message arrives. You make plans, but you also have your own plans. You show interest, but you also have a world of your own. And suddenly she wonders about you. She thinks about what you're doing. She notices when you're not there. Another truth: this is not playing games. This is called having a life. The man who is genuinely busy with something meaningful, who has standards and direction, that man is naturally scarce. Naturally valuable. Let me give you a real example. I used to chase someone hard, replied within seconds, canceled my plans, made her the center of everything. And I remember watching her interest fade, not suddenly, slowly, like a flame losing oxygen. The moment I stopped, not out of strategy, but because I finally decided to focus on myself, she called me. She asked where I had been. She said I seemed different. Nothing changed except this: I became scarce. Scarcity creates desire. Availability destroys it. Now here is the important nuance. Scarcity only works when there is real value behind it. If you disappear but you have nothing to offer, no purpose, no growth, no depth, she will simply move on. She will feel relieved, not curious. So the lesson is not ignore her. The lesson is build a life so compelling that your time is genuinely limited. So that choosing to spend time with her is a real choice, not a default. Because here's the thing most people ignore. Women don't want a man who needs them. They want a man who chooses them every single day. That is the first secret. The second goes deeper. Much deeper, psychologists call it emotional mirroring, and when you understand how it works, you will see it happening everywhere. Here is the core idea. Human beings are naturally attracted to people who reflect them, not physically, emotionally, energetically. When someone mirrors your tone, your pace, your values, your way of seeing the world, your brain registers it as connection, as familiarity, as safety. And safety is the foundation of attraction. Think about it. Why do you feel instantly comfortable with some people and guarded around others? It's not logic, it's mirroring. There are two levels of mirroring, and most men only know about the shallow version. The shallow version is body language, matching her posture, leaning when she leans, nodding when she speaks. This works. Research shows that over 55% of communication is nonverbal, so matching her body language does create subtle feelings of comfort, but this alone is not enough. It's like knowing one word of a language and thinking you're fluent. The deeper version is emotional mirroring. And this is where real attraction is built. Emotional mirroring means this: you understand her, not just her words, her experience. When she says she's frustrated about something, you don't immediately offer a solution. You reflect the feeling back. That sounds exhausting, like no matter what you do, it's never enough. And she looks at you and thinks, he gets it. That moment, that precise moment, is when connection is formed. Another truth: most men are trained to be problem solvers, and there are times for that. But attraction is not a problem to be solved. It is an emotion to be felt. And the man who can make a woman feel understood, genuinely understood, holds a power that no physical trait can match. But here is the part that most people ignore. Mirroring is not mimicking. There is a critical difference. Mimicking is copying. It's fake. It's transparent. And when someone senses they're being mimicked, they feel manipulated. Mirroring is genuine resonance. It's when you actually listen, not to respond, but to understand. When you actually feel empathy, not just perform it. And here is the paradox. To mirror her effectively, you have to know yourself, because you can only truly understand someone else's emotions when you've made peace with your own. Let me give you a real example. I once watched a man with very average looks completely captivate a woman in a conversation. He didn't talk about himself much. He asked questions. He reflected her words back with slight modifications that showed he actually heard her. He said things like, "So what you're really saying is," and he always got it right. By the end of the conversation, she told her friend, "There's something about him, I can't explain it." She was experiencing the mirror effect, feeling seen in a way she rarely does. The most attractive thing you can do is make her feel understood. Now combine this with the first secret. Become a man whose time is genuinely valuable, and then in the time you give her, make her feel more understood than she's ever felt. That combination, it's rare, and rare things are valuable. Remember the diamonds. The third secret is one that goes against everything modern culture tells men to do. I call it the mystery paradox, and here's the paradox. The more you reveal about yourself, the less interesting you become. We live in a world of radical transparency. Social media, constant updates, sharing every thought, every meal, every achievement, every insecurity with everyone all the time. And I understand why. It feels vulnerable. It feels honest. It feels like connection, but in the context of attraction, over-revealing is fatal. Think about it. When you've read the last page of a book, do you want to read it again? Maybe, but the urgency is gone. The mystery is solved. The tension disappears. Attraction is tension. Attraction is a question without an answer. Attraction is wondering, what is he thinking? What does he do when I'm not around? What is he capable of? The man who shares everything too fast removes all mystery. He becomes predictable. And predictability is the death of attraction. No, that doesn't mean you become cold, distant, or withholding in a harmful way. It means this: let her discover you over time. Give her something real, but not everything at once. Leave space for her imagination. Let her wonder. There is a psychological concept called the information gap theory. It says that when people sense they are missing information, they feel a powerful compulsive urge to fill that gap. In other words, mystery creates curiosity. Curiosity creates engagement. Engagement creates attraction. Another thing most people ignore: you should be interesting before you are understood. This means you should have depth, pursuits, dimensions that aren't immediately visible. A man who reads widely, thinks deeply, builds things, experiences the world, that man always has more to reveal. And every conversation with him feels like discovering something new. That is the man who keeps her interested. Not just for a week, for years. Let me give you a real example. Two men. One tells her everything on the first date, his childhood, his fears, his past relationships, his career struggles, his insecurities. He thinks this is vulnerability. He thinks it builds trust. She listens. She nods. She never texts him again, the second man. He's warm, present, engaging. But he reveals himself slowly. He answers questions with depth, but also with a subtle signal that there is more, much more, beneath the surface. He says things like, "That's a story for another time," and then smiles. She thinks about him for days. Mystery is not absence. It is depth that hasn't been reached yet. Be that man. Not because it's strategic, but because you should actually be a man with enough depth that one conversation could never contain you. The fourth secret is about something far more fundamental than attraction tactics. It's called the high-value frame. And it is the difference between men who chase and men who are chosen. Here is the core concept. Every man walks through life with an invisible frame, a self-image, a set of beliefs about who he is and what he deserves. And other people read that frame. Unconsciously, instantly, accurately. A man who moves through life believing he is valuable, not arrogant, not entitled, but genuinely valuable, radiates something different. He doesn't seek validation from others. He doesn't change his opinion to match hers. He doesn't apologize for existing. He has a perspective, and he holds it with calm confidence. Think about it. Validation seeking is detectable. When a man changes his views the moment he senses disapproval, when he agrees with everything to avoid conflict, when he monitors her mood and adjusts his behavior accordingly, she notices. And what she feels is not comfort, it is disrespect. Because at a deep level she senses he does not believe he is enough as he is. Another truth. A high-value man has a mission, not just a job. A mission. A direction. Something he is building. Something that demands his energy and attention. When a woman sees a man who is genuinely committed to something bigger than seeking her approval, she is drawn to him, because she can feel that she is a choice in his life, not an escape from an empty one. This is where self-improvement becomes attraction, but not in the shallow sense. Not just going to the gym to look better. True self-investment, reading, learning, building skills, developing emotional intelligence, growing as a human being. Because the man who is continuously growing, who becomes more interesting, more capable, more self-aware over time, is the man that women want to grow with. Let me give you a real example. I know a man who is not classically handsome. He is not wealthy. He drives an average car and lives in an average apartment. But he is building something, a business, slowly, methodically, with clear vision. And the way he talks about it with calm certainty, the way he says this is where I am going, makes women lean in, because that confidence is not performed. It is earned. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. So here is the real question. Not how do I attract her? The real question is who am I becoming? Because the right frame is not built in a day. It's built over years of choosing yourself, investing in yourself, and becoming a man you genuinely respect. That man, the one who respects himself, is the man she will respect too. Now the most important part, the fifth secret, is the deepest, the most powerful, the one that most men, even men who understand everything else, still miss. It's called emotional resonance. And this is not about what you say. It's about how she feels when she's with you. Let me explain. There is a difference between making someone feel good about you and making someone feel good about themselves. Most men focus on the first. They tell jokes to seem funny. They tell stories to seem impressive. They ask questions to seem interested. All of this is about how she perceives them. Emotional resonance is different. It's about her experience of herself in your presence. When a woman feels more alive, more seen, more understood, more herself in your presence, that feeling becomes associated with you. And she wants to feel that way again. So she wants to be around you again. This is not manipulation. This is genuine connection. And it is the deepest form of attraction that exists. Think about it. The people you feel most drawn to in life, friends, mentors, partners, how do they make you feel about yourself? Energized, understood, capable. Inspired now become that person. Another truth. Emotional resonance requires emotional intelligence. It requires you to listen without an agenda, to be genuinely curious about her inner world, not just her surface, to notice when her energy shifts and understand why, to hold space for her emotions without trying to fix them immediately. This is rare, genuinely, powerfully rare. Most people are not truly listened to. Most people go through entire relationships feeling fundamentally unseen. When you give someone genuine, deep attention, the kind that says, "I see who you really are, not just who you present," it creates a bond that no amount of charm or physical attraction can replicate. Let me give you a real example. I once spent 3 hours talking with someone, not impressing her, not performing, genuinely asking her about her deepest fears, her biggest dreams, her unspoken frustrations. And I listened, actually listened. I reflected back not just her words, but her meaning. At the end, she said something I've never forgotten. She said, "I've never felt this understood in my life." She was not attracted to my looks in that moment. She was attracted to the experience of being with me. And that experience is what she would remember, what she would seek again. Attraction is not what they see in you. It is what they feel about themselves with you. That is the fifth secret. And it is the one that changes everything. Let's bring this together. 5 secrets. 5 psychological truths. The scarcity principle, because value requires rarity. The mirror effect, because connection begins with understanding. The mystery paradox, because depth always outlasts charm. The high value frame, because you attract who you are, not what you want. An emotional resonance, because the deepest attraction is not about how she sees you. It's about how she feels when she's with you. None of these are tricks. None of these are performances. They are the natural results of becoming a man of depth, purpose, and genuine emotional intelligence. It feels strange, perhaps, but it's not magic, it's psychology.